Sound system's the very heart of the clubbing experience.
It affects the dancer and the listener in ways they don't even know.
How I convey my musical message.
The main thing is sonic quality, giving the best you can give to an audience.
There is a spiritual thing in our big audio. It's only been with us for about 50 years. We haven't had this throughout our history.
The first time I was really blown away by a party sound system was the first time I went to David Mancuso's loft party. And I remember walking through the doors and it was like walking into Wonderland. The sound was completely pure. There was no distortion, which is why you didn't have to yell. Your ears weren't ringing at the end of the night. What David had at that time, he had, I believe it was 9 of these clipped horns. It's a folded horn design. It has to go into a corner and the horn folds and actually uses the corner to help amplify the sound.
You know, you go back to the days of the loft in New York and the garage and all that. It was all about the sound system, you know, and I think we need to put as much emphasis back on that as an underlying principle in nightclubs as we do on confetti and CO2. Don't worry about all that, get the sound system right.
One thing that a lot of clubs don't get right is room acoustics. And this is where sound starts. Before you install any system, speakers, the front end, amplification, anything, it starts with the room.
The room is normally your biggest issue. You know, with line array systems, the room dimensions go into a prediction program. The prediction program helps the system engineer to set the PA, the height it should be at, what boxes should be there, the angles between the boxes, to get the most even coverage in the room. That's a great starting point that we never had before.
Sonically, the main challenge is the shape and the sound of the room and the materials that the room's made out of.
I can't tell you how many concrete boxes I've walked into, and all you have to do is clap and you hear the sounds all wrong.
Sound treatment's really important. Just want it as absorbent as possible. Think padded cell. That's what you're aiming for, and it's just soft furnishings in as many places as possible, including the ceiling. The ceiling's really important too. Outside is infinitely better than being inside as far as audio is concerned, because you haven't got any walls or reflections, and it's free to be what it is. The wind didn't used to be a problem when we had point source systems, but now that we've got all these line arrays, the high frequencies, if you like, are phasing and coming and going as soon as it's windy.
We've all heard it. You think someone's put a phaser on the singer's vocal, and actually it's the wind. On a bright sunny day where there's no wind and the weather's lovely, generally, like, the challenges outdoors, once you've got the equipment on site and in the air, are very, very few.
The dawn of digital, I think we have with MP3 and digital formats, I think we've taken a step back. I think maybe readdressing what we think good audio is. You know, when MP3s first became popular, storage was a big thing, but it's not now. The cost of storage is so low. Internet bandwidth was another reason, because obviously, you know, the bigger the file size, the longer it took to download.
But, you know, we're 20 years later, and it's just become an extremely bad habit. It's doing a disservice to audiences and everybody concerned to be using such low quality material.
You lose all the detailed highs, the track sounds muddy. The artist should be providing the best quality that they can, because we're certainly doing it with the sound system. So
10 years ago, yes, a 100 gig hard drive cost you £120. You know what I mean? Nowadays you can buy a terabyte for £30, £40. There's no excuse for you to be using MP3.
the amount of gigs I've done where I've been stood behind a desk and you go, something's wrong with the sound system. It just doesn't sound right. And you go up to the DJ and go, are you playing MP3s? And they're like, yeah. And they don't want to tell you because they know what they're doing is wrong.
The only way you can deal with it is actually an engineer being there on the time and EQing at the time. If you like the tune that much, get in touch with the artist. I'm sure the artist would rather give you a WAV version for you to play out and make everybody hear it how it's supposed to be heard.
I don't think you can personally tell the difference between an MP3 and an I don't. Do you know what I mean? I work with sound all day, every day, and I, you know, rightly or wrongly, I can't tell the difference. So, you know, you put that in an environment and a boomy room and a sound system, is anyone in the crowd going to stand up and say, that would have sounded better if that was an AI? Yeah, of course you try and play the best quality music you can, but I think there's so many variables within that scenario that I don't really think that's relevant, you know.
I'll take the Pepsi challenge with an MP3 and a WAV on a big sound system in a nightclub, because the difference is unbelievable.
It's a bit like taking a very low-res JPEG and then blowing it up onto a massive billboard, and the reality is it's going to look really bad.
Visually, we appreciate 1 octave, the rainbow. In sound, we got 10 octaves, 10 times wider bandwidth. So you've got 10 times the bandwidth at 2,000 times the resolution. And here we are pissing it all away with 320 kilobits per second, which is frankly an insult.
I think it's imperative that a DJ and the sound engineer work very closely together.
50% of sound is the system. The other 50% is the engineer, man, and the DJ. If them two can't work together, your system ain't gonna sound like anything.
A gig where you got 10 DJs playing, probably 5 of them are redlining the mixer. I'm not going to name any names, but I've had just about every big name drum and bass DJ playing my sound system over the years, and I'd say half of them probably need to take a lesson in gain structure again.
The amount of gigs that I've been to and the sound engineers just kind of been stupefied by the fact that there's this world-class DJ just redlining.
I mean, I've stood over here over some of the world's best DJs and actually turned them down. You know, just leant over their shoulder, turned them down. Literally speaking, because I know what this club should sound like. I know what the floor, I go out into the floor, I stand in the floor, EQing the system. Most clubs now have a wireless control system of some sort or another. Literally speaking, these are like our control units for the club. I can actually change each individual speaker in the club. I can change the frequency on it, I can change the gain, I can put a limiter on it. All DJs, first thing you should do is get into a club and be friends with the engineer. That's my best advice to anybody.
The future of sound systems, that's a question really for the tech guys. As a punter, I feel they're kind of good enough. Like, there's only so loud that the human ear can tolerate.
I think the future is really going to lie in trying to deliver the same experience for everybody, whether they're in a field, you know, for 50,000 people, or whether they're in a nightclub for 2,000 people. You know?
Yeah, who draws the line under where technology goes? That's just exponential, isn't it? And its potential and how it can grow. And I'm sure we'll constantly be sort of outstanded by better and better sound systems, and you know, long may that day continue.
Don't really know, man. I'm sitting here, I'm enjoying myself, I'm waiting for new toys to come out, and as they come out, I'll play with them and enjoy them and see what we can put in as and when we can.
I'm sure Tony Andrews has a few tricks up his sleeve, and looking forward to hearing them.
I don't know, it's just like travelling. You go up, if there's hills, you go up and down, and when you get to the top of the next hill, you can see where the top of the one beyond that. And that's kind of how it is. As you make the stuff better, so your mind gets taken to further and further places, and from those places you can see more places. And so I think this will probably be going on until I'm not here anymore.